Believe it or not, it's our responsibility to provide our next generation with the guidance, the fortitude, the strength, the community, and knowledge that they need to succeed.
We gotta cancel culture, change the way our kids are thinking. Think about the pain and anguish. We can save next generation. Break the cycle, no administration. Replacing anger with contemplation. Gotta teach them how to use their minds. Remind our kids they born divine. With a right to be, with a right to live, with a right to be exactly who they is. Cause eventually you'll be writing them in a prison cell while you're wiping tears.
I know, cause that was me.
Just ask my mama. I'm sorry for the things I did when I was young. I know no better. On second thought, I knew a lot. In retrospect.
All right, so we're going to start over. We're back, A Blueprint for Parents. With me, the author, Coach B, and we're moving right along into chapter 4. So those of you that have the book and been working through it, I'm just going to kind of read through the chapter so you can follow along, but also give some of my insights and some of the thought process behind some of these exercises and breaking down a little bit of the philosophy in the book. Chapter 4 is Shifting the Dynamic in Relationships. I firmly believe that one of the most important shifts in healthy relationships is moving from the 50-50 mindset to a 100-100 mindset. So much of the conventional thinking around relationships centers on the idea that we need to split everything down the middle. 50% of your needs, 50% of my needs, creating a balanced yet often codependent dynamic. This idea is rooted in the belief that we're only whole when we find someone to complete us. But here's the truth, in my opinion, of course. You complete you, and your partner completes themselves. The idea of 50-50 is often indicative of codependency, where each person depends on the other for emotional validation and a sense of self-worth. In these relationships, trauma bonds thrive because they revolve around incomplete versions of each person, where each partner looks to the other to fill the gaps in themselves. So I suggest, instead of aiming for a 50-50, that you shift to the 100-100 mindset, where both people are whole, fully healed individuals, bringing their full selves to the table. Now, in a 100-100 relationship, there's no need for one person to complete the other, because each person is already complete on their own. Each brings their own strengths, passions, and uniqueness to the partnership, honoring each other as individuals while choosing to share their lives. The trauma bond checklist. A trauma bond is a connection formed when two people have an intense emotional or psychological attachment rooted in shared trauma or dysfunctional patterns. These bonds can feel incredibly powerful, but are often unhealthy, as they rely on emotional manipulation, dependency, or codependency. Here is a trauma bond checklist that can help you determine if you are in one. 1. Emotional highs and lows. The relationship feels like a roller coaster, intense moments of joy followed by periods of tension, sadness, or conflict. Example: after a fight, your partner might express extreme remorse, making you feel loved and wanted, but you are also left feeling emotionally drained. 2. You feel responsible for their emotions. You often find yourself trying to manage your partner's moods or behavior, taking on the emotional burden. Example: you constantly check in on your partner's well-being, worried about making them upset, even at the expense of your own needs. 3. Constantly trying to fix them. You believe that you can help heal your partner, that their happiness depends on your actions. Example: you might feel the urge to change or help fix your partner's behavior or emotional state, even when it's not your responsibility. Number 4, unpredictable behavior. You never know what to expect from your partner. Sometimes they are affectionate, other times they are distant or even hostile. Example: one moment your partner is affectionate and loving, the next They are cold and withdrawn, leaving you unsure of what went wrong. 5. Feeling trapped in the relationship. Despite wanting to leave, you feel tied to the relationship and afraid to let go. Example, you feel stuck in a relationship because of emotional dependency, fear of loneliness, or worry about the other person's well being. 6. Gaslighting. Your reality is constantly being questioned and you begin to doubt your own perceptions or emotions. Example, when you confront your partner about certain behaviors, they deny it or shift blame, leaving you confused and questioning your own thoughts. 7. Do you, excuse me, 7. You accept toxic behavior. You tolerate behaviors that you know are unhealthy or damaging, convinced that things will get better. Example, you overlook or excuse toxic actions like verbal abuse, manipulation, or dishonesty because you believe that things will improve or because your partner apologizes afterwards. 8. A sense of obligation or guilt. You feel compelled to stay in the relationship because of guilt, fear, or a sense of duty. Example, you feel you owe your partner your time, energy, or love, even when they do not reciprocate in a healthy way. The difference between 50-50 and 100-100. So before we go into that next section, I just want to make it very clear, right? If you are reading this list or if you are hearing it, watching this video, and you feel like you're checking boxes and you're like, oh no, and you start to panic, um, think of it as a guide, as a check engine light, right? It doesn't mean your relationship is over. It doesn't mean you have to run and get out of it. It's just a check engine light, right? And I am not a therapist. I have done a lot of research in the field. I have a lot of professional training when it comes to anger management, family navigation, family reunification, parenting. But there's things that are still going to be beyond my scope. And your average parenting manual isn't a replacement for therapy or, um, seeking a higher level of professional help, right? We have this thing in peer support. We really drill in. I've been in a training all week, so it's quite fresh, right? The duty to just stay in our lane. And so that being said, I just wanted to put that out there. If you are reading this book and you do feel like, oh no, this means we have to break up, that's not what it means at all. If you're checking some of those boxes from that 8 list, it's just a random list. It's statistics. It doesn't even mean 100% that you're in a trauma bond. But if you feel like there's a check engine light, take your car to a mechanic, right? Take your relationship, get the help that you think would remove some of those boxes being checked, right? All of those things that were mentioned can be changed, can be altered, can be talked about. So I just wanted to say that so that there's still hope. Even if you checked all 8, there's still hope if the other person, the other part of your relationship is willing to do that type of work. So the difference between 50-50 and 100/100 is, imagine you're on a date with your partner, sitting in front of a beautiful view. The moment is peaceful, but instead of appreciating the view together, one person suddenly asks, "What's wrong?" This question isn't a reflection of the moment. It's a signal that something is missing. That the person is looking for validation or comfort from the other, even when nothing is wrong. In this scenario, one person feels the need to fill the emotional gap that exists, while the other is dependent on them for reassurance. This is the essence of a 50-50 dynamic where both people are looking for the other to, quote unquote, complete them. The 50-50 dynamic reflects codependency. Two individuals who, because of unmet needs, seek validation and comfort from each other, but neither person is fully complete on their own. Each person feels a lack, so they try to fix or fill that void with the other person. This leads to emotional highs and lows, unresolved conflicts, and a cycle of dependency. So, scenario two, the 100-100, the empowered dynamic. Now, picture the same date with a different energy. Two people sitting at the same beautiful view, both at peace with themselves. There's no anxiety, no searching for something to be wrong. Instead, they both take a deep breath and enjoy the moment. One might say, "Look at that view, isn't it amazing?" And the other smiles and agrees without the need to fill the space with insecurity or worry. In this 100-100 dynamic, both individuals are whole. They don't need each other to validate their worth or happiness. They are secure in who they are, and their relationship is an opportunity to share life together, not to fill gaps or heal wounds. Each person brings their own strengths to the table. One might be energetic, driven, and business minded, while the other is more home focused, nurturing, and emotionally supportive. Together, they complement each other, but neither person is dependent on the other for their happiness or well being. They are not half of a whole, they are two complete individuals choosing to share their lives. The shift from 50-50 to 100-100 represents a radical change in how we approach relationships. You don't need someone to complete you, you need someone to share your complete life with. The 100-100 mindset creates space for true partnership, where both people are independent, whole, and ready to come together as equals. This shift also creates room for boundaries, respect, and personal growth, as each person can stand firm in their own identity while choosing to share their life with someone else. Relationships, especially long term ones, thrive when both individuals feel confident in their self worth and are no longer seeking validation or completion from the other. In a 100-100 relationship, love is shared from a place of fullness, not need. This is the foundation of healthy, lasting relationships. When both people are fully aware of who they are, both as individuals and as partners in the relationship. So, for homework, complete the following online. So, if you go to coachb360.net and scroll down, you can see Love Languages Survey and 16 Personality Survey. Choose one or both, and they're free. So, those are hyperlinks that'll take you right to be able to take that love language survey. And then you can journal about your results. Did these results capture your personality? What surprised you about the results? And how will you use this data to improve yourself? So that concludes the written text of chapter 4. And so I just want to talk about like what that looks like in practice, like in real life, right? So, and I'll use myself as an example, right? Me and my wife are both certified peers. We are both, or we have both undergone the training to become a National Anger Management Association anger management specialist, parenting specialist. For her role in the work that she does, she's also taken the crisis intervention specialist training. I've taken quite a bit more trainings because I'm also a facilitator and I'm required to take continued CEs and things of that nature. CEs meaning continued education, right? However, I am deeply passionate about um, learning more about psychology, the work, how to be a better version of myself. And so, my 100% is I am on my journey. I am healed a great deal from a great many things. I'm in recovery from some, more along the lines of post incarceration syndrome, right? Still having residuals from having spent so much time incarcerated, but they're very minimal at this point. But a lot of the work I've done has allowed me to be able to identify when I'm feeling a certain type of way, and then do the curious internal dialogue that brings me to a conclusion that, okay, this is some trauma from my past showing up in this way. How can I handle it? Now, I am business oriented. I'm very passionate about things that essentially are just hobbies, this being one of them, right? So, podcasting, sharing information uh, with community, whether it's in groups, trainings, videos, interviews, podcasts. I've published 4 books. And my only hope is that I'm able to support someone in their internal evolution. Uh, I pour into myself. As I pour into others, I keep my cup upright so that it's always overflowing, and the overflow is what I try to pour into community. Now, my wife, on the other hand, even though we have very much of the same certifications and trainings, um, her idea of them is to use them to be the best that she can be at her job. Um, she's good at it. She does enjoy serving people, being in service as a behavioral health advocate. And so I just say that to say there's no 50-50. Like, I'm 100%, business oriented, business minded, entrepreneur. I have lots of hobbies. I like to BMX. I like to throw darts. I like to play board games. I read books. I've written books. I do music. I love podcasting. And I make almost no money from the majority of those things. I get my income that contributes to our a household from my day job and from a side job that I do at nights. A lot of the work I do in the community is pro bono. Like, there's a lot of people that I support in reentry, or they can literally just hit me up on Messenger and I'll give them some parenting advice, because I find it hard to deny somebody access to something that I know could potentially maybe change the trajectory of their relationship or their family. I'm deeply passionate about family reunification. Now, I can't reconcile it within myself if I were to say, no, it's $40 an hour, or I can't answer your question. It might take me a minute to respond to somebody. So, there's that. Now, on the other hand, with all those certifications and all the things that I do, my wife is not interested in podcasting all the time, training in front of people. When she gets off work, she wants to, um, decompress. She wants to nest. She spends her extra money on making our house look and feel like a home. Every season decorates, and I'm 100% not interested in any of those things. I appreciate them. I love the way our house looks, feels, and smells, and all the things. But again, I am really, really focused and driven and ambitious when it comes to certain things. And I really believe in pursue it if you want it. Like, my story uh, will tell you that if you know my story. And if you haven't, it's really easy to find, right, on my website or YouTube or Facebook, whatever. And so when you're in these relationships and you're thinking 50-50, this partner of mine has to bring all these things to the table and I'll bring the equal amount of things. But the truth is, your strengths, your weaknesses, your flaws, your desires, your values, they make up 100% of a person. And the person that you enter into a relationship also has their strengths, their desires, their passions, their hobbies, their flaws, their worries, everything that makes them them. Um, so my outlook on it is choose wisely, right? Do the engagement piece, date and converse. Ask the open-ended questions. Find out if your values are in alignment with each other. And when you do that, you will also find that there is more peace, there is less conflict. You can honor the person as they are. And we've talked about in many other videos, and maybe even earlier in this book, the platinum rule versus the golden rule, right? Treating people the way you want to be treated is the golden rule. Treating people the way they want to be treated is the platinum rule. Now, when you're engaging and asking these questions, it's really important to lean in with curiosity, ask as much as you possibly can, so that you don't sign on for something that ends up checking all those 8 boxes as a trauma bond, right? Make sure you're okay, make sure they're okay, and then let's fast forward, right? Say you're already in a relationship, been in a relationship, have kids. I mean, this is a parenting book, right? But before we get into a lot of the parenting per se, I'm a firm believer that the foundation of parenting starts with the parents. So we need to make sure that we're making good decisions in our lives, in our relationships, how we view our relationships, because all of those things will be a part of how we parent. How we show up in our relationships is a part of parenting, right? There's the 55-38-7 rule, where the communication that we receive is 55% body language, 38% tonality, voice, delivery, and 7% of the words chosen. So when we're telling our kids, don't do this, don't do that, and then they go watch us, be in a trauma bond or watch us interact with each other as parents, as partners in the same household, we're giving them 55% of the message that the 7% is like what we really want, because that's what we said. But is that fair? So think about that for a minute, right? When we're so adamant about the things we want our kids to learn and how we want them to behave, um, we should probably think about if we're modeling those things. The best way we can teach is in that 55% with body language. Let them see what we do. And then when we say it, it makes sense. But if that 7%, which is already in competition with the 55, is in contradiction of the 55, which is what you're doing, how you're acting, when you're not in a relationship, but you have kids together, right? How you're communicating about the other parent in front of the kids is huge. So, just try to focus on being 100% of you all the time. Make sure you're okay. And it's okay to not be okay sometimes. It's okay to seek professional help. It's okay to read books like this. It's okay to give yourself the best possible opportunity to have positive outcomes, to have better relationships, to feel good about yourself. And sometimes people will not understand it, right? You might start evolving when somebody else in your circle or even your partner isn't interested in evolving just yet, right? And so it may feel like you're alone on that journey, but it's a journey that must be taken. We must get good with ourselves before we can really focus on parenting in a manner that we can feel successful about. All right, y'all, that's chapter 4. I just wanted to give a little insight about it, drop some jewels for y'all. Keep following. If you don't have the book, please go out and get one. If you feel like these videos are helpful, grab the book so you can follow along. There's also a companion journal that you can also grab. You can grab them from Amazon, or you can DM me or email me at coachb@coachb360.com.